Also keeping up to date on these markets, which are soaring still, up an additional 426 points for the Dow. And this despite maybe in part because of an aggressive spending plan on the part of the president to beef up our nation's infrastructure. By now you've heard the dollar figure on that, about $1.5 trillion. And by now you've heard the upfront federal government cost, about $200 billion. Chuck Schumer's already said that is not enough. And former U.S. Transportation Secretary Ray LaHood telling me earlier there is a means by which we can get more money up front, like a hike in the federal gasoline tax. Take a look. There's not a lot of money there, so I guess you can just go deeper and deeper, but...
Yeah. The way to get the money is to raise the gas tax. The gas tax hasn't been raised in 25
or gas tax.
Raise the gas tax,
right,
which has not been raised in 25 years. Everything in America has gone up. The gas tax hasn't. And if you want to develop a big pot of money, the gas tax, which built the interstate system, by the way, over 50 years, is the way to do it. Use public-private partnerships.
All right, Senate Transportation Committee member Deb Fischer, a Republican of Alaska. Senator, what do you think of that hike, the gas tax?
I think we need to learn to prioritize what are really the core duties of a federal government. Obviously, national defense is first, and I believe infrastructure is second. I have reservations about raising the gas tax. In fact, I have a bill, the Build USA Act, where we can look at making the Highway Trust Fund whole again by redirecting funding that we currently have at the federal government level. I think that's what we need to be looking at. Set those priorities, make those tough decisions, and then we would be able to take care of our infrastructure.
All right, Senator, I might have misidentified your state. I apologize. But in Nebraska, you've had these vast swaths of land, right? It's a very big state. So I imagine for your residents, a hike in the gas tax would be, to put it mildly, taxing. But there is that argument you hear from some Republicans, certainly more Democrats, who argue it hasn't been touched in 25 years. So maybe that can be part of a plan to provide the upfront funding that would address this. If not that, then, Senator, what would you be open to?
You know, when you look at raising the gas tax or fuel tax, we've seen a number of states do that. Nebraska did it. When I was in the Nebraska legislature, we took 1/4 cent of the existing sales tax and started a fund called the Build Nebraska Fund for a 20-year period. And we're seeing projects really move forward by doing that. We need to do that at the federal level as well. Under my bill I have here in the United States Senate, we are looking at taking those custom and border fees, a certain dollar amount there. They receive about $46 billion a year. They only use $2 billion. The rest goes into the general fund. I think that's a natural nexus that we have to transportation. That it's a fee on passengers, it's a fee on freight, and it's something that we can use to make the Highway Trust Fund whole again. So in my bill, I take about $21 billion for the next 5 years after the FAST Act ends, and that makes the Highway Trust Fund whole again. If you add in some reform dealing with regulations, you're going to be able to stretch that money a lot further.
All right. Real quickly, switching gears if you don't mind, the White House briefing is about 90 minutes away. We're told that maybe they'll detail the fate of John Kelly, the Chief of Staff. Do you think the Chief of Staff should step down over the Rob Porter stuff and what he knew about violence against former wives, any of that?
Well, we can't tolerate domestic violence. That is an absolute. But I would say that John Kelly, in my experience of serving on the Armed Services Committee when he was the Southern Combatant Commander, I had the opportunity to work with him, and he is a fine man. He serves his country well, and I think that we need to consider that.
Now, as a prominent female senator, I don't want to sound sexist about this, are you offended by the tone that has come from the White House on this issue? Many have even criticized the president for not even acknowledging the pain these women, suffered in the past. How do you feel about that as a woman?
Well, as a human being, I think we, of course, have to acknowledge the pain that anyone goes through, but especially that these women have experienced.
But he did not, Senator. The president did not,
then
for whatever reason.
For whatever reason, the president has made his statements. I'm responsible for the statements that I make.
All right, Senator, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.